Greetings, citizens, and welcome to another all-new episode of Reverse the Verse Live, the only show where I make up some ludicrous claim at the very beginning of every show, like about how RTV was the program that first discovered North Dakota, because I do most things to amuse only myself. I'm your host, Content Manager Jared Huckabee. It's true. On the show this week, we've got Calix Renault, Spencer Johnson, and Ken On here to discuss their work on the upcoming group system improvements and answer your questions live following yesterday's episode of Around the Verse. But before we get to that, let's do like we always do, the Week in Review. Now, last Friday, we had John Crew and Paul Jones here to discuss the recently revealed Drake Vulture, a ship the Star Citizen community voted to have added to the game last December. Now, it was an insightful show about the process of making these ships, how salvage gameplay is intended to work in the persistent universe, and the role the Vulture will fill in Star Citizen in general. Now, if you missed the show, the replay is available now up on YouTube. Monday brought with it another edition of our weekly question and answer series, Calling All Devs, which featured answers to a standard variety of topics, including the timeline for renting ships with Alpha UEC in the game, and how insurance timers will work once the clock starts on those. The nickel version, the countdown will be in real time, i.e. 3 years of insurance is 3 years coverage in real time, and the timers that will begin those counting down aren't expected to start anytime in the near future, so hang tight. For the answers to the other questions, you can check out the show on YouTube, and don't forget to submit your questions on Spectrum and vote on which ones you want to see addressed most. Now, Tuesday is Lore Day in the Star Citizen universe, and this week's post featured an interview with new Drake Interplanetary CEO Andon Arden about the Vulture and how this ship embodies his vision for the company's future. Now, I'm not going to say there are some hints there about some things to come. I just said I'm not going to say that. Then Thursday brought with it the latest episode of Around the Verse, which featured a look at work being done on our new grouping system and a lore maker's guide on the Caliban system. Now, I'm going to tell you, I lobbied really hard to name the episode 17M Caliban, and I didn't get what I wanted. But for those of you who get the joke, congratulations, you're old now. With that, we're going to take a short break, and when we return, we'll be sitting down with Calix, Spencer, and Ken to talk all about what that joke meant. So stay tuned, we'll be right back.
So the ones that are in orange, basically, if I remember correctly, those still need to be fractured some more, like I have to break them down some more, but the ones in purple, I should be able to... Well, let's see if I can extract the storm. Oh, shit! Well, Dovahkiin, I think that answers your question. Sorry about that, Scorm. Yeah, kind of. No, the extraction mode. It was.
I can tell you, many of us spent a fair amount of time watching Twitch clips of mining, newly introduced to Alpha 3.2 in the PTU, and that was, of course, Captain Richard, who got me this shirt. This was a backer gift. I don't get many backer gifts. I don't get many backer gifts, but this was a backer gift from Captain Richard. So thank you. DuckTales. Oh, woo. All right. Joining us on the show this week, we have a variety of designers and engineers who have still working on the new group system that replaces our old party system in Alpha 3.2 and beyond.
Just a grab bag of developers.
Bag of developers. So let's go around the table and introduce yourselves. For some of us, it's the first time they've been on RTV. For some of us, we haven't been on RTV in over a year, and for others, it's somebody's first show, so they've never seen you anyway. So we'll start with you.
Okay.
Spencer.
Yes.
Spencer. Who are you and what do you do for Star Citizen?
Hello, Twitch chat. I'm Spencer. I'm an associate gameplay engineer in LA, and I'm working on grouping systems and stuff.
So what is the work that you do for grouping systems? What does an engineer do in the grouping system process?
There's a few things. Unlike previous goals and parts of the project I've been working on, this quarter I've been doing more UI-related work. I'm not a UI programmer, but with our new feature teams, with our new feature teams, we're expected to wear multiple hats, get the job done, and work, cohesively as a team. So when we're doing the new grouping and party system, we're like, all right, we need new stuff in Moby Glass, so you know, I draw the short stick, and now I'm doing some UI stuff this quarter.
Yeah. Well, UI is a tough bit. UI is the one aspect of Star Citizen that touches every single aspect of Star Citizen. If you're flying ships, if you're on the ground fighting, if you're repairing a ship, if you're selling, you know, trade items at a kiosk, UI touches every single aspect. So it's no surprise that it's kind of all hands on deck sometimes.
That's both why it's so important and why it's so awful.
Oh yeah, definitely awful. Love you, Zane.
If you run something in UI, everybody gets to find out about it. Yeah. It will tell everybody about your mistake explicitly. Hey, I'm wrong.
Zane, send your email to him, not to me.
Now, Zane's going to be emailing Calyx. I need to hear from Bone. I do the C++ end of the UI stuff, not the Flash.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
And then immediately to my right, Calyx, who are you and what do you do for Star Citizen?
I am a systems designer. I am also doing a lot of UI that I was not initially hired to do, but we have just so much that needs to be put into this game that I mean, part of my doing the UI means that I get to be more involved with exactly how it works and to try to leverage that towards more of the experience that we're looking for. Part of it was, I have a background in programming actually, so it was a little bit of an itch to get back to that. That itch is well quenched by now, but you know, here we are. And also just to be able to have that that gameplay in the player's hands, on the player's screen, really tangibly concrete in the game. A lot of systems take a long time to get into the game, like the interaction system I was working on for, what, 2 years before it found a patch that would fit it with it. There's, that stuff happens all the time, so it was kind of nice to get something that is a bit more, you know, present.
And last but certainly not least, this first time on RTV, Ken, welcome.
Hello.
Who are you and what do you do for Star Citizen?
So my name is Ken An. I'm the Associate Gameplay Engineer in LA. For this quarter, I'm working on the group system on client and server side to...
I'm talking to JD.
So basically I'm writing codes on the fundamental code on the group system to receive the information from the group service, which made by Benoit.
Yeah. Now, if for those of you who have seen the ATV segment yesterday, this is a portion of the team working on it. We've also got Benoit. We've also got Kirk Tomei is working on this, and as well as other people in other studios. This is the group system is, I mean, if I may, from outside, I don't work on the group system. It's a pretty darn important system to any MMO. You know, we are a massively multiplayer online game. The group system is how players are going to, for lack of a better term, group up. They're going to venture out into the universe together. It's integral to something like quantum linking, for instance. You know, to be able to travel, you know, in sync to places. In 2018, we kind of restructured things into feature teams. You know, and this team works on this, and then these teams are together, and then you move from one task to another task. When they tapped you for the group system,
that first meeting.
Yeah.
That first meeting, we're going in and like, okay, we're gonna do party mechanics, party systems. Sit down in the meeting. We're gonna go over everything. All right, Chris, what are we looking for? What's the scope for our initial stuff versus what we want to do? And he's like, yeah, so groups are everything. Everything's a group.
Yes.
And so we're doing everything. And we need to have that foundation. We can't just like sort of piecemeal it out to be like, here's the party and we'll integrate it with groups some other time. No, everything's a group. AI's groups. Anything that like...
Insurance club membership.
Yeah, that's a group. If your criminality missions, these things all put you into groups. Everything is a group. Groups are groups. Groups of groups are groups. It goes.
Organizations.
It's crazy how many things this ended up touching when I was like, oh, I'm gonna invite somebody to my party.
This is day one.
I've got an idea for how. Oh my god. Oh no. So yeah, it's been quite an undertaking to figure out what all those moving parts would be and how they would sit in for everything.
Yeah. There's a lot of important tier 0 systems finally coming online with 3.2. The grouping system and all the things that it touches. We talked about the scanning system. You know, the scanning system is necessary for mining. It's going to be necessary for salvage. It's going to be necessary for exploration. It's going to, you know, it's a baseline system that will touch so many other things. There's one more that I had planned on mentioning, and that it's just gone in my head. But 3.2 is a lot of terrific strides in those baseline systems that set the foundation for so many other things. What I wanted to ask you is when you found out that your team was going to be tapped for it, like it wasn't going to a UK team, or it wasn't going to an Austin team, or it wasn't going to even another team in LA, that it was you. Were you excited? Were you trepidatious? Were you?
Yes, very much yes. Both because it's something that people have very particular expectations for. One of the things that came up early on was, well, this is going to be chat. It's going to be part of this system. How are you going to handle that? And then we're like, well, how is chat solved elsewhere? And the answer to that is in 100 million.
Yes.
Highly configurable and very specific ways. And if you get even one of those things wrong, people are like, I'm not going to use this. I'm going to go use the other thing that I already like. And groups behave a lot like that, parties. And so while I'm certainly very excited to try to get as much community interaction into and supported by the party system, it's also a daunting task because of those expectations, because how people play is going to be so personal, and how people play with their friends is going to be even more varied and personal, because a personal relationship with this person that you play with is just going to be different than this other person you play with, and you want those both to behave as expected, even though those expectations are different.
Now, in 3.2, this is what we usually refer to as a tier 0 implementation. This is not the group system that you guys can already see in action on the PTU right now, and that will make it to our live environment hopefully soon. It's not the end result. It's the tier 0 result of features like Spectrum integration, which is why Benoit gets involved here, aren't going to be online with the 3.2 version of the grouping system. That's correct?
Yeah.
Am I right on that?
Yeah, we won't have that.
No,
I think in the ATV that we did yesterday, I think something that I had said is the way to look at the parties and groups and the features that we're working on is sort of two things. It's like, they're not separate, they're part of the same whole, but it's what we're delivering for 3.2 is basically, party system, playing with your friends right now. Like I invite Ken, I kick Ken because I don't like him, I invite Calyx, and you're playing there. And
it's
obviously,
opposite than it would be in real life.
Actually, Calyx is the one I don't like. And all of those simple requests, those things going on. And so for what we want to do right now is, all right, let's use this old system, give it some new UI, use mobiGlass, make the player experience better, because that F11 menu is a little nightmarish. And so let's some
F11s in chat.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that was a big part of it, right? Was that you needed all this arcane knowledge to use any part of the system.
Yeah. So make it more user-friendly, attack what we can right now, and with Benoit, building underlying systems that can tackle things like orgs, things like the insurance club membership that I brought up before, and all these interesting different features. So the cool, fun stuff, hopefully we'll get to deliver soon. But we start with, let's address the current problems while building a framework for better things later. Those are like the two things.
All right. Now, of course, we are taking questions live from our I was going to say studio audience, but we have no studio audience. We did once, we have it a couple times, but not this show. Remember, you can submit your questions in one of two places, either live in the Twitch chat, where you preface your question with the word question in capital letters surrounded by brackets to help our friends pull it out of the chat. You can also submit questions in Spectrum, in the Spectrum general chat, same deal. Question in capital letters surrounded by brackets. It just helps lead community manager Tyler Wicken pull them out and send them to me on the nice little tab. Now, to pregame this, we actually started collecting questions immediately after ATV aired last day. And for people that couldn't be here live, and it also let people vote up some questions. So we do have some questions from that chat, and we'll start from there first while we're collecting questions. Right off the bat, if half a group not a full group, if half a group is flying a multi-crew ship, and that ship performs a criminal action, who gets the criminal status? Is it everybody in the entire group, everybody on the ship, or just the pilot who's flying the ship?
My favorite thing about criminality is that it's Germany's problem. Frankfurt has the reins on that one, and I do not have any idea. I imagine that the way that we'll want to have it so that groups can, because we do have groups that influence the way that reputation gets distributed. So yes, that does sound like something that will have some measure of influence, but how that actually works is not my problem.
Artfully deflected.
I'm going to encourage somebody to go ahead and put that question in a Calling All Devs thread, and everybody who's watching the show vote it up, because I want to get an answer to that question.
I would love to know.
So go ahead and vote it up, and I'll see if I can track that down on Calling All Devs for you, since we don't have any developers from the Frankfurt team here. Will we be able to trade AUEC with other players? Now, some variation of this question comes up quite a bit. There's a notion that the trading system is somehow linked to the grouping system, and I don't believe that's the case. The trading system would be more a service beacon kind of thing.
Not quite.
Yeah.
So, like, it sounds like you have an answer. I'll let you go first.
A little bit. I guess they're only linked in the sense that sending people money and other items and stuff, in my opinion, should be handled using similar aspects of the shop code, which is something else that I wrote. So they're only linked in the fact that I would work on both features. But I do want to see that, because right now there's not an easy way to send AUEC to your friends outside of service beacons. So I want to see a design on my desk to get more like shop stuff for trading and sending money and things.
I can already add that we've actually touched on this question on the aforementioned Calling All Devs, and while trading is not actively in the game right now, the initial design stuff is for it to be an evolution of the service beacon system. So I don't remember what episode that was, but you can find all episodes of Calling All Devs available now on YouTube.
Available now,
because I get paid by the view
at a YouTube near you. It's part of the whole contracts concept of I'm going to create a job and send it out to a particular person, and they'll accept that, and then when things conclude, you'll transfer money. That seems to be the core element of it. We had wanted to get mission sharing, reward sharing, all these aspects into the group system, but those, again, start to balloon out into whole systems that are not already set up to think about the party and groups and influence moving around in that way, and B, have a lot of things to test. So it was very much not safe to get that in the timeline, particularly for tier zero, particularly because just getting everything built over to the new system and took a fair amount of the time that we had. So I imagine that you'll be setting up essentially a contract and rules for how payment gets distributed among your party, among your group. If you have any org dues or something like that, those would all be individual things that get set up. And the party would have a umbrella of rules for how to handle most situations that you can then deviate from to make it as easy to use as possible, and also give you the customization that you need.
Gotcha. So I'm going to follow up on this because that actually touches on a couple questions that we have both in the Spectrum thread and the live chat right now. For this tier 0 implementation, contract sharing, that's not a part of the tier 0 thing. We're all in a group. He picks up a quest. We don't all suddenly get the quest.
Correct.
Not for tier 0.
Okay. Not for tier 0.
Yeah, I mean, we're trying to make it so that you can even complete a mission based on the party. Like, so even if he has the mission and everybody is there with him trying to get it done, I think that he still needs to be the one to complete the mission in order to get the reward payout.
Yeah.
And so that's one of those those issues of this needs to be dealt with in a deep and holistic way, or else things like that just won't work the way that they're expected to. And as far as reward sharing, we were initially thinking maybe we'll just split evenly but not everybody's going to want to do that. Where are we going to put the options to opt in or out of that system? And it's just not ready yet.
Yeah, it wasn't a free feature, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Something like, and Ken could probably speak a bit more to this, but like having your vehicle be unlocked for your group members, like you could get that in pretty quickly with the systems we already have, but it'd probably just have a half-assed solution of like trying to get missions to work with groups. So when Kalik said it best, really need a holistic solution of like, this is how the mission code changes to accept multiple people. Like if my friend kills a dude, I killed the dude. Mission, success.
So is it
you killed him? I killed him.
This is yours. This is
So
mine.
is it safe to say that even though something like mission sharing and dividing reward payouts isn't in the tier 0 implementation, that's something we want to pursue in subsequent releases?
Yeah, that's something that we definitely want to have in the game.
And in subsequent releases, it would have to be tied to the group system in some way, I would imagine.
Yeah, both we'll probably want to be able to have it certainly for your party, which is your primary group at any given time, and then also as we start to look more into how to integrate organization features and things like that. Yeah.
That's all, lead me to another good question here. A lot of folks in the Spectrum thread were conflating the group system with relation to the organization system. At this point in tier 0, they're not linked.
They're not linked yet.
In any way, shape, or form. Okay.
Groups are intended to be able to contain organizations and their features, which is why we had to make such a broad approach for the first time. But it's not; those two things aren't linked yet.
Yeah.
In Alpha 3.2.
Yeah.
Something worth mentioning too. I don't know exactly, at least for internal terms. When we're saying groups, it's usually the more generic thing. Like this could be, just a group of friends that are, like to talk to each other. So that's like the generic thing, whereas a party is specifically like we're all online playing together right now. Like, so
Right.
Groups, it could be everything. Party is a specific case of a group.
Well, you don't actually have to be online to be part of a party.
Sort of.
Yeah, that too. Yeah, like group is more of a thing that will be mostly used on the Spectrum, but the party system will be on the Spectrum, but also effectively doing something on the gameplay wise. So
Yeah, because it also
something
handles
more-
all the stuff about like if you get disconnected, how do you get back into the same
Right.
instance if you're doing any matchmaking at all?
Yes, so like party is more of the gameplay wise groups.
Gotcha. So it sounds like there's a distinction between groups and parties that we'll probably be chasing around for the next couple weeks or months over development. Trying to better delineate what constitutes a group versus what constitutes a party.
Yeah, right now they're the same, but in the future you could have groups that are not parties. Like 10 guys that will, like we all talk and play together at the same time, but maybe only 2 are online right now.
Yeah.
You could use a party to upgrade that to you could use a group to turn it into a party and be like, all these people are in my party again, but now I'm going to go play with these people instead. Screw these guys.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
During the Vulture promotion, we mentioned I think it was a Wayfarers Club.
Yes.
Wayfarers Club. That
would be a group.
That would be a group and stuff like that.
So
Okay.
group could be everything. It's like the rectangle and a square thing, right? A square is a rectangle, because it's just a subset of what a rectangle could be. Maybe I'm getting too mathy, but yes.
Nobody understands.
No, come on, it's grade school, guys. It's first grade. No, groups are everything. Parties is a specific kind of group.
Yeah.
I'm usually here to safety net these guys, but I'm going to let Spencer hang on that one. All right.
F in chat.
Common question from both chats. Are there party size limits?
Maybe I can answer the question. For now, it's set to 8, but it can be decided up by design when we push it out to the door. So it's not decided yet. For now, internally, it's 8 right now.
Gotcha.
Sorry.
You're right.
Interesting. You might want to talk like the reason why it's 8 because of the old party system.
No, it's so I just realized that it's not something about it. So it's like
Really?
so it's just a fix to 8 somehow.
Yeah, well, I actually know a little bit about this from other conversations with Kirk. You have to start with an arbitrary number. Whenever you're doing anything, you just pick these processes start with, let's just pick a number and see if we can hit it and see how it works. And then from that, you decide whether that's too much and you go down or it's not enough and you go up. One of the great things about running development in the middle, running a live environment in the middle of our development, is we don't have to make those final decisions on our own. We can pick an arbitrary number, like 8, put that system out in 3.2, you know, as 8, and then watch for the next 3 months, 6 months, 9 months at how these parties come together, how easy it is to fill, what they can do versus what they can't do, and then adjust that number holistically. Using Calyx is word. It's a good word.
Yeah.
You know, based on, you know, what we see in YouTube videos, what we see on Twitch channels, what we see in Spectrum conversations, like that. So it's one of the great advantages that we have of having a live environment in the middle of our development. Is we don't have to do tons of internal focus testing to figure out what that number is. We can start a place and let you guys tell us what that number should be in many cases.
Right. One thing to add about the max number of the party. The system is designed to hold, I'll not say it's like unlimited, but like potentially unlimited number of players into the group.
But so there's a lot of unknowns in that. For like the amount of data that the party needs to keep track of each other's members, having that be unbounded is potentially problematic. So 8 felt safe. Let's not deal with those problems just yet.
See,
we have so many other problems.
Yeah, many problems. I thought you were, news to me, I thought 8 was coming from the old party system.
It is coming from the old party system.
That's what's really interesting, maybe for people interested in a more technical aspect of what we're working on. Because of, no, never.
Star Citizens don't care about technical aspects.
Yeah, so what's interesting, to deliver what we wanted to deliver for 3.2, with, you know, new UI for the party system and, you know, various new features. To make it happen, there was a couple critical features that were locked behind the old party system that we could not just redo. So the biggest thing is like getting into the same server as your friends, like from the main menu, is handled by our backend guys in Austin are writing it. The general instance manager is like this big piece of code which gets people into servers. The gym, yes. If this has been talked about before on RTV, it's the gym. And so we need this to get people into the same servers. And, you know, we talked to the guys in Austin like, hey, you know, we're redoing partying. We want to get people into the same server. You know, what do we do? We need your help. And basically, they're jam-packed with, you know, tons of work right now. They could not separate out the party aspects from the gym that we needed right now. So bring full circle. The thing that's interesting, technically speaking, is the old parties are not fully deprecated right now. A new party also has an old party, and they're basically functioning in parallel. So all the old UI still works. You could bring up F11, you could still do that, because when we make a new party for you, we're also making an old party behind the scenes that you don't have to worry about so that you could get into the same server as your friends. So they're both in parallel, always.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And that's just because the feature teams don't always work in parallel. You know, you guys have hit this part, but our platform team in Austin haven't been able to do their back end stuff too.
Yeah, they're scheduled out, you know, up the wazoo. So next quarter, I think they're trying to separate some of these features out of the gym. But currently, that's where the 8 comes from, I believe, is because the old party's at 8. So we need to say, all right, well, we're keeping parity with the old party system for now. So.
They're features, Jim. All right.
I don't understand.
It was an old Star Trek reference.
You said you were going to explain that joke at the beginning. You didn't do that.
I don't remember what the joke is now.
Something Caliban.
Oh, ASL.
Oh.
I tried to get the
American
title.
Soccer League?
That's why the AOL was on that.
Yes, I tried to get an ASL title for HEV yesterday, and
you picked M instead of Xi'an? Silence. I love it.
Now you get to sit.
Let's see. All right, so a couple questions here about the dual chat interfaces. How you can see you can access the group chat through the HUD, and you can also access it through the Mobiglass. What are some of the virtues there? A couple of questions in the live chat are talking about how that seems kind of redundant.
It is redundant. I mean, like explicitly, that's a redundancy. It is also Mobiglass is the like Spectrum integration side of it. Like it's meant to be where you do any management of your channels, management of your contacts, all the stuff that used to be the F11 hold right alt F tab, like all of that fun, interaction is all trying to be folded into MobiGlass. For one, because that makes it discoverable to new players. If you know how to access MobiGlass, then you can just find this, as opposed to needing to know what the interaction is to turn on or off your visor chat. Additionally, when we start doing more stuff about the channels that you could have, including these chat lobbies that are on Spectrum, you'll be able to select which of those things will be displayed on your visor, and which of those things you are chatting to, that you're active on when you do the shortcut chat. But you're not going to get that level of configurability on the visor because the visor is explicitly built to not be interactive in that way.
Minimalistic.
It's kind of like the MobiGlass is your iPhone and the visor HUD is your Apple Watch, and you get all your communications on your phone. Your web browsing, your emails, your text messages, everything, and then you set up which ones actually buzz you on your watch, where it's easier to see.
I'm just amazed at the clarification that the thing on your eye is like the thing on your wrist, because the thing on your wrist is like the thing in your hand.
That's why I get paid occasionally.
It's incredible.
Yep.
I love it.
All right.
Keep it coming.
So we touched on the door locks. A couple questions about how if we lock our ships, can party members open our ships?
Go, Ken.
Yes.
Go.
Right, so for now, all the party members are allowed to use any party member's door right now, ship doors. So, like I said again, it can be changed by design.
All right. One of the things seems pretty simple. Congratulations, everybody.
We did it.
Yeah. One of the things that we saw on ATV yesterday was that when you join a party, it puts a identifier over people's heads. Two different questions about how far out that goes. If somebody's on Sullen and you're on Port Olisar, are you going to see a little boop? This person's on Sullen there.
I think I saw a bug that's currently being throttled by streaming. That like if you get too far away, it'll just stop updating your information.
It's serialized variable.
Don't say it's a bug.
Oh, it's a bug. I don't know if it's a bug. I just saw that was a thing.
So there's a problem where. So there's a problem when the entity goes outside of a certain range, it stops updating, and since the marker is also an entity, it is getting affected by it. We are planning to fix it, but I'm not entirely sure if we can get this out on 3.2.
Gotcha.
We're deciding if we're planning to fix it.
Yeah. Well, I also have to imagine there are some performance considerations too, because sometimes that culling, the thing that you refer to a bug and you say it's not a bug, might actually help us in performance. Culling. It's if we don't have to update people from 8 different locations from around the Crusader system, that could be a benefit, especially as server populations begin to expand past 50, and now you've got everybody sending constant updates.
It's not a bug; it's an emergent behavior.
It's an emergent
behavior. Yes.
Yeah. So it's a thing that needs
it's
a thing that needs continuing investigation. We need to decide whether that's something we even want to address, because like I said, there will like anything, a big part of bind culling and object container streaming and all that stuff is about limiting the information that we send halfway across the galaxy for no reason.
Right. So, in the future, we can decide whether we want to manage this by design-wise or technically we're updating it, the position.
We just tell design what they get and they're happy about it.
Yep.
No update.
Is that why I'm so happy?
Wow.
Now, what kind of work have you guys been doing in relation to the quantum linking as far as the group system goes?
We
supported
that. We made it so that could happen. The quantum linking, I think, just ties into the fact that you're in a group and then does all its own stuff, which is how it should be. The group system should have no authority over how quantum linking works. It's just there to enable those behaviors.
To inform the quantum linking system that these people are who you should be considering.
If quantum linking cares that you're in a group, then it gets to use that information. And I think it should care. I think that's the Christian thing to do.
Yeah.
should let it lie. Will there be an LFG system similar to other?
That's why I don't get invited back anymore.
1 year.
What is LFG?
Looking for group.
Looking for group.
No, not that I know.
Not for now.
There's certainly nothing that I have seen on my radar. Although part of that is just how much is focused on getting just 3.2 stable and working. So that hasn't been a focus. The bigger thing was making it so that if you met somebody in chat, if you met somebody in the world, you should be able to group up with them. So that was, we added it into the interaction. I think Ken did that as well. No, Chad
it was Chad, yeah.
Chad did that, and I thought it was you because he needed your code to make it work, if I recall, because you two had sort of the mutually blocked
yeah, we were
tasks
mutually
for-
blocking each other. Like
Yeah.
he needed my code, I needed his code to test.
Yeah.
Now I do want to add that when you say it's not on our radar, it's nothing.
Not
that
on
we're
my
working-
radar.
Yeah, exactly.
Sorry,
It's not to say that the feature has been ruled out in any way, shape, or form. It means that feature team, which number are you? Are you 1 or 2?
Number 1.
Yeah, so it means that US feature team 1 has not been tasked with doing
Yeah.
a looking for group
Yeah, no.
system. That's all that means. So.
It just means I'm not doing that thing.
Yeah, but before we get some, like, they're not doing, I'm looking for a group. All right. What else do we got? I had a cool one here. Is it planned for group members to share telemetry related to professions, like mining results, scanning results, ship damage? I'm going to take this one actually and say that we actually covered this 2 or 3 weeks ago with Kirk Tomei and Mark Abent on our scanning themed RTV, where this is not a tier 0 implementation. You won't see this in 3.2, but yes, the intention is to use the group system in conjunction with the scanning system to send telemetry from other ships out.
Yeah, I think I saw that question scrolling by, and I think that it mentioned something about being able to see who another ship has targeted. That would also begin to interact with the component system, and which items that you have would determine that behavior.
Exactly.
But groups would also be a part of enabling that and not having authority over how that behaves.
Exactly. You might have a cheap targeting system that it works fine for yourself, but isn't designed for a group interlink and whatever. But you use a component subcomponent to improve it to do multi-ship kind of stuff. So, but yes, the intention is yes. We covered that. If you have not seen the scanning RTV with Kirk Tomei and Mark Avent that we did just a couple weeks ago, highly recommend that. Lots of conversation, not just about scanning, and that's coming in 3.2, but the design intentions for scanning going forward and sharing information with other ships. So you got that there. Let's see. Do we intend to make creating parties possible out of game, like through Spectrum?
Yes,
Yeah,
that's the whole
for
intention
sure.
of the group system, actually. So we wanted to have more access on outside of the game so that so the more players can be invited to play and join the game together.
You should have access to the party chat, whether you're in game or not. You should be able to party up outside of the game, go into game, and find yourselves in the same instance together. Yeah.
Gotcha. So
Get your chat history from game later on, like, open up Chrome and see like all those great jokes and memes we were sharing. Now like,
Chrome
I
user,
don't
right?
have those. Chrome, Firefox, IE,
No Opera.
please.
What about
What are you
Microsoft
taking
Edge?
for?
Edge?
What?
Wait, did you just thumbs up Edge?
I like Edge.
Doors over there.
Don't kill me.
You heard it.
Yeah, MobiGlass should be a view into Spectrum, I think is like the brief of it. Should have all those cool options both in your MobiGlass or when you hop back into the website.
Gotcha. So a lot of the questions we have, will there be missions in 3.2 that when complete award all players group AUEC? We've covered that. Again, the sharing of rewards is not in for 3.2. What about cargo? We talked about how the group system allows you access to the doors and whatnot. Is there any specific 3.2 functionality to the cargo? Does cargo even have an ownership
Yeah, cargo
It does
does,
have an
yes.
ownership. So yeah, if it's your cargo and you're a freelancer and I board your freelancer, I'm not in a group or whatever, and I take your I physically take your cargo. Do I get some-
those sorts of features sort of hinge into more like fleet sharing, which was waiting on orgs and was also just kind of complicated to start to think about at this point. So I think that we're open to it working that way, but it certainly don't support that yet.
It's not a tier 0 thing.
No.
Also worth mentioning that like when you see like free floating cargo, like when a ship blows up or something like that, nobody owns that. That's free game. But if it's like locked in the grid, then yeah, it's persistently owned by that ship, which is persistently owned by the person who owns that ship. So,
But that at least means, if I understand correctly, that if I and my group of friends manually truck in a bunch of those boxes, they will be owned by the ship that we put them in.
yes.
Yes.
And so
Which you have the keys to basically.
Yeah.
So.
So you
But the
can
kiosks
almost do that.
Almost, yeah. The kiosks are a bit of a different story. Currently, you can't access ships not owned by you through a commodity kiosk.
Yeah.
Oh, so
But that's why it's part of the whole question about fleet sharing is whether or not you have access to that ship outside of in those kiosks.
gotcha. So you can carry a box off a ship that we're all in a party. You can carry a box off a ship that Ken owns, but you can't go to a kiosk and then sell that and have it disappear from the.
Well, if it's something that I picked up and put into my own ship, I could certainly sell
Yeah,
it
but I'm
because I
talking
own it
about
now.
his ship.
But I can't access his ship from the drop down in the commodity kiosk. Certainly, like Caleb said, there's broader questions of what is a fleet and stuff in the future that maybe you could say, all right, now this guy can actually access my ship from this terminal, but currently not in the tier 0.
Yeah, if it comes to my jar, it's mine.
This is a good time to remind folks that just like any feature that gets implemented for the very first time in Star Citizen, this is what we affectionately refer to as a tier 0 implementation. This is a foundation of which to build upon for subsequent releases. So a lot of the features that we know you want, a lot of the features that we definitely want are not going to be active or implemented in the very first rollout. But your work on the grouping system doesn't end once we push 3.2 out the door.
It does not.
Yeah, it does not.
Unfortunately.
Your eyes just glazed over there. I just watched it happen instantly. Yeah. So the work on the system will continue to iterate from 3.2 to 3.3 and beyond, stuff like that. So one of the things I did want to touch on when you were talking about the F11 menu, and let's just say there was a little Microsoft Edge in your voice about the F11 interface and having to do the things. I'm glad you did it, because one of the things that one of the common misconceptions in the community is that why aren't they aware of this? It's like why is this thing is like this? Is this what they want? We are building the game live out in front of everybody. It means that in many cases we have to release intermediate versions of game systems, an intermediate version of the chat system that's been in game, an intermediate version of the party system. We didn't put that party system in there 2 years ago when we pushed 2.0 out the door and think, oh, that's it, that's what we do. We've known that we would have to revisit this at some point. You tend to have to do intermediate temporary iterations on some systems because you need some level of functionality to allow for testing in other systems. So when you guys have been suffering from F11 and that chat system, listen to the timbre of Calix's voice when he talks about it. Know that we've been suffering with it too. We're well aware. We are all in this development boat together.
Someone says rip F11 in chat, which
It still
not
works.
yet. It still works. We're not deprecating
F11's
it
there.
yet.
If you love F11 just so much, you get to have that. You get to hold that in your heart.
But use it while you still can, because it will probably be
We're
deprecated.
coming for your
we're
F11s.
But 3.2, you can still use the same menus. Old party system stuff's not deprecated yet, but we are coming for you.
Eventually, we'll just remap F11 to be an emote where it makes your character cry.
Just a single tier off in the distance.
But those tiers will collect in your helmet, and eventually it'll be. No, Sean's got the fluid simulation already, and it's gonna. None of this is true. No.
You stop.
No, we were working on some simulation for a necktie yesterday with Sean Tracy.
Really?
I can't tell you what it's for yet.
Bow ties?
No, a long, straight black tie.
But we're also supporting bow ties, right?
You have to talk to Josh Herman on that. You fight for bow ties, I'll continue to fight for capes.
Okay,
All right.
I'll make it happen.
Calix, you mentioned you mentioned looking at other games and how their group system, their party system works. This question says, do you take any inspiration from other games? Grouping.
Okay, so the broader answer to this question is with regard to how community and people interact in that regard. And the two biggest touchstones for me personally with regard to multiplayer interaction are Jedi Outcast and City of Heroes, both of which I think did an incredible job of building culture into their systems. The way that people use those mechanics is just felt drastically different than a lot of the games that were coming out that had similar goals, similar stated systems. I felt like you really got a lot more willingness for players to interact with each other in a variety of ways, sometimes positive, sometimes negative, sometimes just recognition was a thing that could happen. And so that's, in terms of designing multiplayer features at all, those tend to be my touchstones. Of course, when you're thinking about chat and group systems, you're looking at MMOs, looking at WoW and Elder Scrolls Online and other games that have taken a variety of approaches and just
modern approaches, because they're
yeah.
in active operation now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and trying to see which things, like particularly with things like WoW, which have so much legacy and also is updating and looking at all those things. It's one of the things I think we were looking at for a minute was the division in terms of like how they presented the information, more so than the system itself, but like how you let players just know what's going on. So a myriad of influences.
Yeah. It's an important.
It's hard to find it as simple.
It's an important moment to remind people that inspiration is just that. It's a starting point. It's a thing that informs your decision. That it's not we just looked at what they did and kind of that I'm inspired by David Bowie every day, but nobody would ever look at me and be like, oh, I see that. It's one of those things. It's one of those things that you look at feature sets, you look at the way people interact with it, you look at how successful it is, and you're like, okay, we want to build something bespoke to Star Citizen that evokes the same or similar responses in people.
When I first met you, I thought you were cosplaying as Jareth.
I get that never. I get that never. Let's see. You guys mentioned you worked on the UI for grouping. Does that mean that no actual UI artists or designers contributed whatsoever?
We're not talking about the F11 menu again.
I'm reading this question so that you can redeem yourself in the eyes of the UI team before they come at me with pitchforks.
Calix, I just write C++.
Why is this my fault?
No one said it was bad yet.
I mean, I worked with Zane and Oleg, and Turbulent also provided some art resources for this. But it's mostly been just getting the behaviors in more so than the visual design on this one. I mean, the artists were involved, but not a lot.
He's really selling our feature right now.
That just means it'll get prettier later.
Fair enough. Party leaders. What special powers do party leaders have?
I don't think there should be any party leaders, but there are party leaders, and they get full authority over the party. And
what is full authority of the party in 3.2?
Invite, kick, and did we include disband? I don't recall.
What's disband?
No, we don't have disband.
Disband is the thing that happens automatically when nobody's left in the party.
Yeah, there's no authority to just full stop disband right now.
Yeah. So and we have and I can't remember the current state of this. Did we get the part where any member can invite?
No,
we didn't get that yet.
Only the party leader can invite.
Okay, well, I want that.
Yeah, that's old. That's old party system legacy stuff biting us in the butt right now.
Okay.
In the future, everyone can invite.
And what happens if you disconnect and you reconnect 5 minutes later? Are you still in the party?
Yeah.
No.
Exactly
Or you
5.
should be.
No.
Did that break?
No,
Or
no,
did that never
exactly
work?
5 minutes.
Normally, after 5 minutes,
Oh,
you'll
no.
be kicked out of the
You
party.
have up to 5 minutes, but
Yeah.
including no.
Okay.
4 minutes and 59 seconds is your limit.
All right. What happens if the party leader disconnects?
Party leader disconnects. Okay, so when the party leader disconnects, he'll be kicked out of the party, and the party leader will be transferred to the next player.
Okay, so the party leader doesn't get 5 minutes?
They also get 5 minutes.
Okay, so party leader gets 5. So when the
But
party
not
leader
5 minutes to
disconnects,
be party leader.
he doesn't get disconnected.
Is he still the leader
Or he
in
doesn't
those
get
5
kicked out of the
minutes?
group. That's my point. That's what I'm asking. Is he still the leader in those 5 minutes?
So there's no
No,
inviting for
he'll
those
be
five-
kicked out of the group.
No, those 5 minutes when he's
No.
not yet kicked out.
3
Is he
minutes
still
in.
the leader?
Okay.
I smell a bug.
It's 12 noon, and I'm the party leader,
Yes.
and I get disconnected.
Okay.
Up until 12:05, am I still in the party?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm not removed from the group for those 5 minutes.
No.
For those 5 minutes, am I still the party leader,
Yes.
even though I'm not online?
Yes. Unless you're in the party, you preserve your role.
Okay.
When you get kicked out of your party,
Okay.
that's a different story.
So for those 5 minutes, you'll have a party that can't actually invite anybody else to the party.
Technically, yes.
Tier 0 implementation, guys. Tier 0 implementation. I'm just making sure that we're very clear on
This
that.
is why there should be no leaders. Capitalist party system.
Will there be any way to disable party invites? Like, I don't want party invites. It's a common thing that you find in some MMOs. People like to use party invites to troll people. You know, somebody constantly is clicking on you to invite the party. Do we have any way to invite to disable party invites?
Not yet.
Not for now.
Grief City.
Soon. Eventually. One day.
TM.
Okay, all right, fair enough. Let's see. Can people be in the same, is there any distance limit to the groups? I'm just going through the questions. Are there any distance, like if I'm on Olisar, we're both on Olisar and one of us travels as far away from Olisar as possible, is there a limit where suddenly we drop out of party?
No.
Okay. There'll just be a limit where that little identifier that tells you where they're at.
Yeah, you might not have accurate information about where they
they're
are. And I think I saw something about a question about whether or not you can find out information about party status, party member status, and we don't have that yet. And the first iteration of that we're thinking of was to have these event notifications go into the party chat to tell you when something major happens, when someone dies and someone things like that, just to have a log of the events.
Actually, what about a more traditional MMO feature, the party window, where you see the 5 other people that are in your party, you can see their health, whatever, you can see them when their health start, oh, that person's obviously being attacked, whatnot. Are we pursuing something like that?
I'm not. I'm not working on any
That's what
of that.
design said.
That's beyond the scope of the stuff that I've been working on for.
Okay. We'll table that and we'll find out more about that after the Tier 0 implementation is.
Yeah, the main goal of 3.2 here is just parity with the old system, but more accessible and more UI.
All right. One of the as far as things that you can share when you're in a group, we know that you get access to ships and whatever. What about med packs? One of the questions asked, with a party member, can I now use my med pack on somebody else to heal them?
I don't see any reason that should be linked to party. That seems like something you should be able to do with a stranger, with an NPC, with a really cute creature you find out in the world. Ugly creatures too, if you feel like they need help.
Why you gotta make it about looks? God, so typical of you, Calix.
I'm going to leave it on.
No, I just mean
ugly creatures.
I just mean that.
Just stop the show there.
I don't see any reason that should be tied into the group system. That seems like a behavior that you would want or not want as part of the med kit itself.
Polygon.com. CIG developer says only cute animals matter.
Yeah. That's tomorrow's headline. It might be today's
Those
headline.
poor ugly creatures. I love them. I love the ugly creatures.
All right. So we're just about at that time, guys. Before we let you go, any final words or thoughts you want the folks at home to know about this initial Tier 0 implementation of the group system that's being added to Star Citizen and Alpha 3.2? Give me something.
Something. It's Tier 0. That's probably the first thing I want you to know about it. And more tiers will come.
Yep.
There's gonna be tears.
This is just the beginning.
You know, I want you guys to know that we have the option of doing this pristine, well-rehearsed PR business speak people. You know, you could just get stuffy suits all the time, but no, we give you the developers. We give you the actual people that are working on the game, and because of that, we get gems like that. Spencer, save the day.
Ooh, I always gotta put it on me to save the day.
Well, I have never put it on you to save the day.
Well, I was gonna look at Calix when I started saying that, but then I realized no, jokes, not today.
There are no jokes.
I write code.
This is a joke-free program.
Putting too much on me right now.
I'm sitting here with 3 jokes. What do you mean?
Again with the tears.
Ken, it was delightful to have you here on your very first RTV. Microsoft Edge comment notwithstanding. I want you to know that this is a safe space and you are welcome back here whenever you want, even though you're a Microsoft Edge thumbs upper. All right, guys.
I'll be back in a year.
Yeah. We're going to take a real short break and we'll be right back with the wrap up. Stay tuned.
Peek up and see my shadow.
Is there a dude in mining right here? There was a guy mining right here. He just killed himself. My ore now.
Mining clips. Let's see more. Well, that about wraps up this week's show. A very special thanks to Ken for taking their time to be here on the show with us this week. Some housekeeping before I let you go. The Drake Vulture promotion is in full swing. Star Citizen's entry-level salvage machine is available now up on the robertspaceindustries.com website. There's also going to be the standard Q&A post that you're all used to, and that should go up sometime next week if all things go according to plan, which we, of course, know they always do. Then on Monday, come back here for another episode of Calling All Devs, this time featuring a response to another community third rail question. Now, what could it be, huh? We've already touched on Death of a Spaceman, the Constellation Phoenix, agent smithing, and insurance timers in the last couple weeks. What's left? I'm going to make you tune in Monday to find out, because I'm an ass, and I want you to watch these things that our devs work to create. Sue me. For Reverse the Verse Live, I'm Content Manager for Global Video Production, Jared Huckabee, and we'll see you next week, everybody.
Thanks for watching. For the latest and greatest in Star Citizen and Squadron 42, you can subscribe to our channel, or you can check out some of the other shows, and you can also head to our website at www.robertspaceindustries.com. Thank you very much for watching.